I think as someone who's often in this predicament, I think the fantasy role is unhelpful because you're often fulfilling a role that other people are looking for. The person who I can talk to that's just like me, but looks like them. And often that can be seen as a cheapskate, you know, it's a shortcut to doing good relationships as opposed to taking the time to show respect and build proper relationships. I think it's unhealthy because you have to become a fount of all knowledge on all things of the people that you supposedly represent. You're in a position where people think the knowledge that you hold and the opinions that you have cover a multitude of diverse groups, and it's not true. It's not real.
I think the fantasy leader role is a real cop-out for mainstream systems. That I guess what we tend to do as white people is that we'll have the Indigenous liaison person or the Indigenous person who will represent everything, and it lets us off the hook. It means that we basically go, well, we've engaged with the right person, and if it doesn't go well, which it inevitably won't because they can't hold all those multiple views and represent a system in that way, then we can blame them. And so how I've seen that play out in the collaborations that we work with is we'll appoint somebody who is trusted by both the Indigenous community but also the white community, and put an enormous pressure on them to play this bridging role, and that they have to operate in two worlds, as opposed to us do that work on getting bilingual, if you like, and getting good at being fluid and being able to work between two, and as Grant says, you know, developing the relationship. So I think it's not only unhealthy for the people and the organizations we put in that role, but also inevitably for all of us, because we don't do the work.
Absolutely. For the Indigenous population, we learn how to be entrenched. We learn how to talk to a group through a liaison person, as opposed to building the relationships as a collective. And we can become entrenched in our views and entrenched in our aspirations without having to hear the big picture of or share the dreams and aspirations of the other party that's wanting to do partnership with us.
And I think it avoids the conflict as well, because inevitably whoever's holding that role will be screening out and filtering all the time about what's okay to feed back and what do I go back to my mob with and what do I bring forward to this group with. So the kind of wisdom of the different views, if you like, often isn't coming through. So I guess how I've seen this play out is in collaborations. People might feel they're making progress because we've got this liaison person who's speaking on behalf of, but then the issues still need to be worked together as a community by everybody, and inevitably we have to go back to that. So it means it could take a few years to go down that path, and then we have to go back and do the work anyway. So it doesn't speed it up, it actually makes it longer in the long run.
And it just means the person who owns the power and the weight of all that conflict is the fantasy leader in the middle, rather than the two parties working in deeper collaboration together.